The real estate does go into cycles, bringing out the insight to say, don't expect that somehow it's going to be constantly upward path. There could be some cycle. Because of higher mortgage rates, many people who want to buy real estate are being constrained. The Federal Reserve cut interest rate from September, yet mortgage rates have misbehaved. Federal Reserve does not directly control mortgage rates. It's controlled by many factors, including inflationary pressures, federal debt situation. We constantly provide real estate statistics, real estate analysis, which area of the country is seeing a strong job growth, some oil production, lower gasoline prices that will also help lower the inflation. But as soon as the mortgage rate goes to 6.5%, 6%, expect some bursting buying activity among people to come into the market.
If you like to win, you are in the right place. Welcome to Premier Insights Podcast. My name is Raphael Price, and this podcast is custom built for the student and professional athlete. We are blessed to spotlight Dr. Lawrence Yun, Chief Economist at the National Association of Realtors, and today's theme is real estate cycles, implications for buyers, renters, and sellers in 2025. Dr. Lawrence Yun, born in Sungcheon, South Jeolla Province in South Korea, moved to Columbia, South Carolina as a child. In 1987, he earned his BS in mechanical engineering from Purdue University and earned his PhD in economics in 1985 from the University of Maryland, College Park. He is a highly sought-after speaker, having made appearances on major media programs and government panels, including, but not limited to, C-SPAN's Washington Journal, Blue Chip Council, Wall Street Journal Forecasting Survey, Congress, and the Industrial Economist Discussion Group at the Joint Center for Housing Studies of Harvard University. Welcome to Premier Insight Podcast, Dr. Yun.
Hello, Raphael. Thank you for inviting me to participate in this important program.
Thank you, Dr. Yun, for being here. And I know you're a busy man, and you look so good this morning. I have to ask you, where are you broadcasting from?
So I am in Orlando, Florida. We just completed NAR, what we call President's Circle RPAC program. So what that means is that, realtors like to express their free speech by participating in political process. So in the process, we invite members of Congress. So we had, one senator, a Republican senator. We had one congressman, Democratic congressman, along with former elected official Kevin McCarthy, House Republican leader, along with Rahm Emanuel, who was the congressman as well as the mayor of Chicago. So to discuss sort of the landscape of the political background, and certainly from realtors, we also discuss many of the realtors' ongoing issues, what they can anticipate regarding market condition here in 2025.
That is phenomenal. And I am so honored that you took time out of your busy schedule to give us a little bit of slice of your expertise, because we have many viewers that are very hungry to hear what you have to say. And so before we get into the meat of our conversation, we just want to allow the viewers to get to know you a little bit better. So why did you leave the engineering field to pursue a career as an economist?
When I was an undergrad at Purdue University, I was truly a nerd, meaning that I was just into the books, apart. But, once I flipped through the, math equation, what I found was that, there was a very good application in economics. So when I first took econ course as an elective course, I simply fell in love with it. So I said, I want to pursue more study. And the professor at Purdue said, why don't you just go to graduate school in economics program? So that was my path.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, our audience is very interested in learning ways to boost their real estate investment portfolios. So I must ask you, have you invested in real estate yourself?
My wife and I, we have two rental properties, have done very well in terms of rental income generation. Furthermore, because the home values have risen, all this capital gains. So we feel very comfortable and happy that we have made those rental investment property decision. And of course, we are homeowners, so we are also benefiting from the home ownership real estate gains.
Excellent, Dr. Yoon. Now, are those rentals vacation rentals like Airbnb? Are those moderate, average home buyer rentals, or are those luxury rentals? Would you mind specifying what kind of rentals for the listener, please?
I live in the DC area, Northern Virginia. So essentially, it is for many residents, who may be priced out of the market, but they can still handle the rent. So one can say is for the local residents, they have a job. They're not in a position to be a homeowner yet. And we know there are some population segments. So we are offering rent. So it's not anything luxury or vacation. It's within the DC metro suburban market.
Very well. Now, let's talk a little bit about real estate cycles and your 2 to 5 year projection for residential commercial real estate. And what you can feel free to share whatever you feel comfortable sharing related to homestead or moderate investment rentals. If you've already talked about the ones that you have. If you want to touch on luxury and resort investment rentals, vacation homes, commercial, whatever, we'll leave it open to you, Dr. Yoon, to discuss what you feel comfortable with sharing.
Now, the real estate does go into cycle. So, Raphael, yeah, you are, bringing out the insight to say, don't expect that somehow it's going to be constantly upward path. There could be some cycle. One cycle aspect that the real estate professionals are encountering today is that because of higher mortgage rates, many people who want to buy real estate are being constrained. They simply cannot get a mortgage at this higher mortgage rate condition. The Federal Reserve cut interest rate from September, yet mortgage rates have misbehaved. What I mean by that is mortgage rates have refused to go down along with the Federal Reserve rate cut. Federal Reserve does not directly control mortgage rates. It's controlled by many factors, including inflationary pressures, federal debt situation. But my overall projection for the upcoming years is that, the mortgage rate will calm down a bit. Maybe it will slide down from current 7% to maybe 6% in 12 months, 18 months time span. It may not sound that much of a big move, but it does open up the possibility of people sitting on the fence. Maybe they simply cannot get into the market yet, but as soon as the mortgage rate goes to 6.5%, 6%, expect some bursting buying activity among people to come into the market. So I anticipate, much better real estate transaction opportunities ahead. And regarding people who are looking for home values, because they don't want to buy depreciating asset, they want to buy appreciating asset. So we still have housing shortage, lingering housing shortage out there. And one recent development that I have been witnessing is that Midwestern state, so Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Kansas, these are affordable markets. And we are seeing better price appreciation in the affordable markets of the country. This is the sort of the projection that maybe the Midwestern states will outperform many other parts of the country in the upcoming years.
I'm so glad that you spoke about that because I read an article that you wrote in February 18th, 2025. There was an article that said things are looking up, and you stated that one can be confident that over the next 4 years, existing home sales would easily reach 20 million, along with a solid 3.5 million new home sales. The high mortgage rates of 7%, 8% are over. The Fed will make further rate cut decisions in 2025 to move toward non-restrictive monetary policy, and that's because the overall consumer price inflation, which the Fed constantly mentions as its top goal, will be combined. You also said the national debt has risen from $20 trillion in 2017 to now $36 trillion. So government borrowing is not a free lunch. It's eating up private capital, leaving less for mortgage lending than would otherwise be available. The new normal for mortgage rates will be between 6 and 7%. So my question to you, Dr. Yoon, is how does one reconcile these economic projections that you've made for a stable mortgage rate in light of our growing national debt that is only going to continue to swell? Stated another way, does this portend grave implications for the national debt in our economy?
For the two important factors that drives mortgage rate, or I should say three important factors. First is the Federal Reserve decision. So I think they will be cutting interest rate and the inflation. Inflation numbers right now are still above uncomfortable level, 3%. Federal Reserve wants to see it at 2%. Things like tariff will be inflationary, not helping on inflation. But Trump administration has mentioned about deregulation, and deregulation could be disinflationary, lowering the business operating costs, and therefore the businesses don't have to pass on that cost over to the consumers. And the other part is, maybe some oil production, lower gasoline prices that will also help lower the inflation. So the national debt is where I think, people in Washington has to seriously say, we cannot pass this large debt situation over to the future generation. We have to begin to contain it, whether that means, trying to get more tax revenue from Trump's team. I think they're looking at economic growth in terms of trying to bring in some revenue. And then possibly reduce some of the wasteful government spending that could be out there. So anything that addresses reducing budget deficit will definitely help lower mortgage rates.
Wonderful. And I thank you for helping us to better understand how all these moving parts in our economy work together to create these cycles and to cause the fluctuations in the interest rates. So let's pivot to another topic here. Our audience is very broad. However, the focus of our show is targeting student athletes and professional athletes. As such, can you speak to the different generational groups regarding who will be buyers and who will be renters? And what are the implications of these groups for investors?
Now, I remember, doing uh, a presentation a long, long time ago when I was an undergrad student. There was two different presentations. I focused on sports. One was, this is like 20, 30 years ago, that somehow AP polling of number one team of the football team, we should not have subjectivity. Why don't we have a playoff? So I said, maybe if we have a playoff of four teams, at least we know the top team will be among the four. So I'm glad to see the playoff at the college the league right now. And the second one was, I thought that, the players, they're the ones who are bringing in the fan base. They're, people are paying tickets. So the students, yes, they're getting scholarship, but they're probably bringing more revenue than the scholarship they are receiving. And therefore, why don't they get also extra, pay cut from that? So we are now seeing that condition. So now student athletes, depending upon school program, some may be getting quite a decent amount. And if one has it, one could easily put the money in the bank, save it in the bank, or you play the stock market. But one area where it's always stable is real estate. So buying a home, you could be buying a home for the parents, or you could be buying a home for where they want to live. Those would be a sound investment. Maybe they want to consider rental property to say, every month one can anticipate certain rental income. Now, rental property does bring responsibility in terms of, okay, what happens if the tenant does not pay rent? What happens if the boiler blows up middle of the night? Those issues. But overall, real estate investors have taken on those risks, overall performed well. So I'm glad to see that more student athletes do have some financial resources now than before, but they should utilize that resource to build future wealth, not spend the money right away. So trying to build future wealth, I think that's the key, and real estate can certainly provide that angle.
That's wonderful. And that just prompted another question that came to my mind as you were talking. Can you recommend a good book to our viewers for beginner investors who want to invest in rental properties?
I cannot really recommend a particular book. There are, many,
Okay.
many hundreds of books out there, very similar quality. I mean, they go through the basic accounting method. So start with
Mhm.
one that one feels comfortable with. Overall, again, one has to look at price, what's the rental income in relation to the price,
Mhm.
what could be all that factors.
Wonderful. Now, maybe you can recommend websites to real estate investors to keep up with your latest economic insights.
My team, the research team at the National Association of Realtors, we constantly provide real estate statistics, real estate analysis, say, which area of the country is seeing a strong job growth, which has an impact on real estate, things like that. So the website is simply, well, I would say just Google the term NAR research. And from there, I think there will be a web page that goes directly to National Association of Realtors research.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, do you have a particular college sports team that you favor? Is it your alma mater?
One thing is that my graduate student school days at University of Maryland, I was at the library constantly and not at the stadium. So I don't have a loyalty to the Terrapins of Maryland, but I'm a strong supporter of the Boilermakers. So that's what I support.
Wonderful. And then finally, Dr. Yoon, did you happen to watch the Super Bowl? And if you did, who did you root for?
You know, I'm a Washington fan, Redskins, Commanders, however you want to call it. This year,
Yes,
great. The quarterback, what an amazing quarterback that we have at Washington. But
yes.
even though Philadelphia Eagles are rivals, somehow I wanted Eagles to win. I guess, Chiefs, maybe they're just kind of over exposure of the Chiefs part. So it was great to see the Eagles win. And I really like the running back at the Eagles, showing great discipline. So I enjoy all the time I see the Super Bowl.
That's wonderful, Dr. Yoon. I don't think I've ever met an economist that was as well versed in the NFL as you. So, hey, I tip my hat to you, Dr. Yoon. Well,
Great,
thank
thank
you
you.
so much. And we appreciate you sharing this wonderful real estate investment insight with our viewers today. The work that you have been doing at NARM the past few years is invaluable. And I want to say, as always, to our audience, the greatest ROI that greatest ROI that you can work for is your eternal ROI in heaven. So we wish you guys all the best, and we thank you for listening today.